amazed lately at the cool people that I get to hang out with. It's one of the neat things that's been happening lately. Like I got to roast Snoop Dogg a couple weeks ago, and it's one of those fun things where getting to hang with somebody that you're used to like watching on TV or rooting for. A lot of people might know or might not know from listening to Rogan episodes of the podcast, but you're the first fighter out of all the fights I ever went to that I bet on. You McGregor won. I bet on it. We all did. Because, like, literally, Joe's whole crew, I mean, everybody that we were with.
All right.
Even the sound guy, Frosty,
Yeah.
who does audio for, Rogan and Goldie and everything. We all had our little fucking tickets. We all took pictures of it. And something cool we were just talking about earlier, you and I, was how when you got up and how you said, "I'm not surprised, motherfuckers."
Yeah.
And it's one of those things to where I mentioned how, like, I loved that because you were saying what you truly felt. Like it felt like it came from like your spinal cord, because you weren't surprised, because had you been surprised, fucking,
Why would I even start doing this in the first place? Yeah, like
when
the
that's
difference between me and other people too. I like we were talking about before. Like people they win fights and they're like start crying and they start like getting overexcited and acting a fool, and it's just like, well, this is what you train for, this is what you're supposed to do. Like, why are you acting surprised, for one? And then my whole career, like when I started, I remember watching when I was a little kid. I was watching BJ Penn fight, and I was in the room at like 16 years old, and I was tapping everybody out in the gym and doing all this stuff, and BJ Penn was fighting, and I was like just thinking out loud, and I was like, got all comfortable about how I would fight BJ Penn. I was like, I could beat him. I think I said that, and my brother was like, looked at me like, what? He's like, yeah, but you better train hard because that motherfucker's gonna whoop your ass if you ain't ready for that. You better.
Right.
And then I thought even deeper. I was like, wow, you're right. So
that's
what tripped me out
something
was when I started, though, he was the top.
Right.
And I was already thinking like how I could beat the top guy. And at the time, definitely I couldn't hit him. He would whoop my ass all over the place. But my confidence and my thought pattern, Nick put me on game in reality real quick. Like, well, you better be ready if you're gonna fight him. He never said I couldn't either. He just said you better be ready if you're gonna fight him. And because if you don't, you gonna get your ass whipped. And so I was like, okay. So reality kicked in, and I was like, well. But then when I decided, that I would even take into consideration considering fighting, I was like thinking of the top guy before I was thinking of anybody else.
And I think that's something that, like, I bet a lot of like greats have that, to where you're pushing yourself. That's on the back of your mind, while other people are training to get to make it in the thing and sort of break in. You're looking at the champion. You're looking at the top. Like,
I think it's funny when I see other fighters nowadays too that aren't even in that deep.
Right.
Yeah, and they're like, I think I want to fight this guy. And I'm like, I never had a choice. I had my brother and my coach, and they're like, you're fighting this guy in August.
Yeah.
Most of my coach, and I was a soldier on call at duty, you know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, you're fighting this guy. Like, okay. That's when I fight everything. Like, do you want to fight this guy or this guy? And you get people complaining and what they want to do. And I'm like, what? You have an option?
Right.
You have an option? You acting like a spoiled little. You shouldn't even be in a fight game if you're not going to get in. Think you can beat the best guy from the beginning,
right? And
be willing to fight anybody always.
Yeah.
And that's how I always was. And now I think that's where things changed up. I think people come into the sport with a big old marketing idea and a business plan and idea. And I'm like, wow, where I'm from, there has no business plan. This is life. This is where it's going, and this is what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, if I want to live, I gotta fight to eat, and I gotta do what I gotta do to get to where I'm gonna go. Yeah. And now people have this thing. And so I always had this soldier mentality and this martial arts mentality and fight life I was living. And then now, later in the game, I understand marketing because it was going on around me, and I wasn't conscious of it, but it was taking it in, you know?
Yeah.
And so now I'm more aware of the marketing thing and the game plan, but I put in the work to even think like that, I believe. And other people are thinking like that, and they put in the work yet. Right. And I'm like, are you living a fight life, or are you living a game plan for a business life? And
because you love the game, and you got it. You
backwards,
You gotta like love. You have. I mean, you love it, right? You love training. You love fighting. You love doing what you're doing.
I love training and I love martial arts. I don't love fighting. Right. I don't love having to fight. I don't love not fighting. You know, I'm in a place where I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because when I'm not fighting, I'm losing my mind. When I am fighting, I'm losing my mind.
Right.
So it's crazy. And it's hard to explain, but that's as much as I can break it down for you.
Well, it's the top of the game. I mean, look at Kanye. I mean, he's up there fucking killing it on an aerial stage every single night, starting songs from the beginning, doing it again, blowing people's minds night after night after night, and then all of a sudden he's crazy. You know what I mean? That's how they label it. And Chappelle, same thing. 2 seasons of the fucking what's probably undeniably one of the funniest shows of all time. I mean, there's definitely something where it pushes people, and psychologically it's it's intense for all the greats of anything. If you sort of look at it, I mean, if they're truly great like that, it is a crossover in the business. And looking back on that BJ Penn thing, it reminds me of a conversation I was having earlier with Ari over here, one of the great young rising comics here at the Comedy Store, Ari Manis.
Thank you very much.
Coming up through the ranks as a door guy, coming up from the, he's been here a few years, and we were talking about how some comedians, who barely end up doing anything, if you ask them what their dream is, they're like, I just want to be able to get to the point where I could do comedy and do the road and, be able to headline. Well, you
got to shoot bigger.
Way bigger. Like the people that are headlining are trying to be like Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's their goals. And it's like, so it's funny because the people, if they set their dreams low, if they set their bar low, then what they're even shooting for isn't even,
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what are you shooting for if you're not shooting for the stars?
Yeah. And it's like basketball games. That's why basketball, I love basketball, but I also hate basketball. I really can't get that into it because they always, in that sport, it always feels like they're only playing as hard as their opponent. You know what I mean? How come the score is always 98-97 at the end? You know what I mean? Whereas with where other sports,
you should be blowing these people out of the water.
If there was a way to do a knockout in basketball, people would be doing that. They would figure out a way to jump that high or do that or whatever it is. You know what I mean? As silly of a thing as I'm pitching here, I don't know if it makes any sense, but fucking who gives a fuck?
No, I got you. Shoot for the stars. If you can do. That's what. Yeah, same thing. You're gonna take fights. And be like, I don't know, because I got to do this because my knee hurts, so I'm going to give it to Andre. Shut up.
Yeah.
Fight I don't want to fight this guy. I want to fight the champ or the guy above him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are you in this for altogether to begin with?